Look around you on any given Monday morning. People who are fed, safe, employed, connected. By every objective measure, fine. And yet something is visibly missing. Not in their circumstances, in their eyes. There's a word in the English language that tries to name this: emptiness. But it's not quite right, because these people aren't empty, they're full of things. Notifications, obligations, routines, opinions. The Japanese have a more precise diagnosis. They say these people have no Ikigai. No reason to get up in the morning. Not a reason to survive, a reason to be alive. And the difference between those two things, it turns out, is everything. Okinawa, Japan, has one of the highest concentrations of centenarians, people over 100 years old, anywhere on Earth. Researchers spent decades trying to figure out why. The diet helped, the community helped, the movement helped. But there was something else, something harder to measure. Almost every person interviewed at 90, at 100, at 105, could answer one question without hesitation. Why do you get up in the morning? A garden to tend, children to teach, fish to catch, songs to sing. Not a career, not a salary, not a status. A reason, personal, specific, undeniable. That's Ikigai. And most people in the modern world have either never found it or quietly abandoned it somewhere along the way. This video is about how to find yours. Most people in the West first encounter Ikigai as a diagram. 4 circles: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for. The intersection of all 4, that's your Ikigai. It's clean, it's shareable, it gets thousands of likes on LinkedIn, and it completely misses the point. That diagram was actually created by a Western author trying to explain Ikigai to a Western audience. It's not how the Japanese think about it at all. In Japanese culture, Ikigai has no requirement to be profitable, no requirement to be world-changing, no requirement to be impressive to anyone. A fisherman who loves the sea has Ikigai. A grandmother who loves making soup for her family has Ikigai. A man who wakes at 5 a.m. because he can't wait to work on his craft, regardless of whether it makes him rich or famous, has Ikigai. The Western version asks, how can I turn my passion into a business? The Japanese version asks something far simpler and far harder. What makes you feel most alive? There's a phenomenon Japanese researchers call karoshi. Death from overwork. Not metaphorical death. Literal death, heart attacks, strokes, collapse, caused by working without rest, without meaning, without Ikigai. But there's a quieter version of karoshi that doesn't make headlines. It's the person who is technically alive, but functionally on pause. They're doing everything right by external standards. The job, the apartment, the relationship, the weekend plans. But they haven't felt genuinely excited about waking up in years. They've confused achievement with aliveness. Research from the University of Michigan found that people with a clear sense of life purpose had significantly lower rates of depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline, regardless of income, status, or age. The opposite is equally true. Purpose deprivation, living without Ikigai, is a slow erosion. It doesn't announce itself. It just quietly removes the color from everything until one day you look up and realize the days are passing, and none of them feel like yours. Finding your Ikigai isn't a weekend retreat. It's not a personality test. It's 4 honest questions. Ask slowly, Answered truthfully. Question 1. When did you last lose track of time? Not scroll time, not Netflix time, the kind of absorption where you look up and 3 hours have passed and you feel more energized than when you started. What were you doing? Question 2. What would you do if money and opinion didn't exist? Not what you should do, not what would impress people. What would you actually do if the only measurement was how alive it made you feel? Question 3. What pain are you willing to accept? This is the one most people skip. Every path has a cost. The question isn't which path has no difficulty. It's which difficulty feels meaningful to you. A writer accepts the pain of isolation and self-doubt. An athlete accepts physical suffering. An entrepreneur accepts uncertainty and rejection. Which pain would you choose? Question 4. What would you regret not trying? Not achieving, not trying. There's something in you right now, something you've been rationalizing away for months or years, that this question surfaces immediately. You already know what it is. Write it down before your brain talks you out of it. Here's where the Western self-improvement world gets Ikigai dangerously wrong. It turns it into another pressure. Find your passion, discover your purpose, build your legacy. All of it implies that Ikigai must be grand, scalable, shareable. That's not Ikigai, that's branding. The Japanese concept is deliberately small and personal. Jiro Ono, the 98-year-old sushi chef who was the subject of the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi, has spent his entire life perfecting one dish. Not a restaurant empire, not a brand, one dish. He says he still dreams about sushi, still wakes up excited, still believes he hasn't achieved perfection. That's not ambition in the Western sense. That's devotion. And devotion is what Ikigai actually looks like. Your Ikigai doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need a revenue model. It just needs to be real, specific, and yours. The person who tends their garden with full attention has Ikigai. The person who chases someone else's definition of success, no matter how impressive, does not. Most people wait to find their Ikigai before they start living differently. That's backwards. Ikigai isn't found by thinking, it's found by doing. You don't discover what makes you feel alive by analyzing it at a desk. You discover it by running small experiments, by trying the thing you've been talking yourself out of, by showing up for the activity 3 times before you decide if it resonates. The Okinawan centenarians didn't plan their Ikigai. They lived toward it, daily, imperfectly, without guarantee. So here's what I want you to do this week. Not this year, not next month, this week. Pick one thing, one small thing, from your answer to question 2. The thing you'd do if money and opinion didn't exist. Give it 2 hours, not as a test, not with expectations, just as an act of showing up for yourself. And notice carefully how it feels. Not whether it's profitable, not whether you're good at it yet, just whether it makes you feel more alive than you did before. That feeling is data. That feeling is the compass. Follow it. She doesn't have a productivity system. She doesn't optimize her mornings. She doesn't have a 5-year plan. She has a garden she loves, people she feeds, a reason to get up that belongs entirely to her. That's it. That's the whole thing. The centenarians of Okinawa didn't live long because they were trying to live long. They lived long because they were too busy being alive to think about it. Find your reason. small or large, quiet or loud, profitable or not. Find the thing that makes the morning feel like a gift instead of a sentence. That's Ikigai. That's the only goal worth having.